All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. It's going to be low energy for me, so I apologize in advance for that. 15th draft in this league's history was completed on Sunday evening. I thought it was a fun draft, some notable moments, some surprises, and I'll break it down. Going to have Jake Krieger joining. Great guy to have for these kind of draft breakdowns, get his thoughts. I think what we'll do is we'll run through each team one by one and then maybe run through each round one by one as well. And I kind of like the idea of picking a favorite and least favorite pick from each round, something like that. But right now, I'm going to let Krieger join. How are you doing?
Can you see me? There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah. There you are.
Look at that dog.
I'm the dog again. Yeah,
Oh, where are we in this?
I just started.
Just started. We're
I
back
just
from.
started. Yeah, you're here for the whole thing.
All
So
right.
I actually what I just said was that we'll break down each team and then we're going to break down each round and have like a favorite pick, least favorite pick from each round kind of thing. At least maybe
Okay.
through the first 10 rounds, but you get to decide what team we start with.
We could start off with Klingman. I got that team right in front of me right now.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So some of these teams I haven't really even looked at yet. Um at least not in depth. So this will be my first glance at probably about half of them. My computer is shot. So what are your thoughts on Klingman?
Off first glance, I'm not a fan of the Pittman pick,
Yeah.
and then also Malik Neighbors. I think he was going too high, but apparently he's going to be the guy. So, but
Oh,
I like
yeah.
Olave. I like Brees. I was between Brees and Bijan.
Mm,
I took the gamble on Bijan, but
yeah, well, we'll get into that when you come up. That was a very interesting decision.
yeah, I panicked. But
Well,
yeah, Klingman's team, he's got Evan Ingram, which who knows what the receiver room is going to do down there in Jacksonville. But I know throughout the preseason, he was a safety valve for T-Law.
yeah, he scored half of he had 4 touchdowns last year. He scored two in a preseason game.
Yeah, so I don't know, and definitely has potential. He got Jordan Loves, who is up there for highest paid quarterback.
Yeah, I think I really one of the things I noticed, I don't know that there are really any very standout teams, both great or awful. I think everyone's kind of in a fairly even playing field. And you look at Colin's team, and it just seems solid. I agree with you. I don't love Pittman this year, not where he was going. Um, you don't know what Richardson's going to be as a passer, and you don't know what that offense is going to be. It was the nice thing about Pittman last year was he was going in like the eighth, ninth round. Now to have to take him early third, you really need he needs to be as good as he was last year, essentially. Neighbors, I like taking that chance. I agree. I mean, it would have been nice if he was maybe going a round or two after where he did, but freak athlete and not much target competition there. So even if it's inconsistent, I think he'll have his moments. And Colin ends up getting a chance at upside with Jackson Smith and Jigba on the bench. Ingram, I'm not a huge fan, but he should be solid. Like he should be pretty reliable like he was last year. And then yeah, the running backs, it's a pretty good group he's got with Hall, Ken Walker, and then Brian Robinson on the bench. That's a really strong unit. So I don't know that there's much to dislike. Nothing really jumps off the page to me. I don't know if you agree with that.
No, I agree completely. Um, I would say like out of all teams in the league, I would put it at like 9.
Yeah,
I would say.
like I said, I can't make those judgments because I really haven't looked at everybody. It does feel like a team that's middle of the pack, maybe a little below. And what I don't love is you got some really iffy offenses involved here, like that Saints offense, the Colts offense, the Giants. I mean, those could all be below average offenses, and that those are your three receivers coming out of that. And Brees Hall, I really really like. I think that was a good pick, but yeah, those receivers, I don't know if I love them as a unit just because it's all there's some real question marks with each of those teams. But they are all kind of the undisputed number one receiving option on their team. They do have that going for them. Yeah, it's just kind of a decent squad, and Jordan Love, we'll see. It's interesting because as a guy with pretty much no rushing ability, you really need him to have a big touchdown season. Maybe he will. He definitely he had 32 last year, so you're hoping for him to do that again. Who do you want to go to next?
Let's go to Das Gift.
Actually,
After the Mecca.
first let's do a best pick, worst pick for each team. So let's see. Go to Klingman here. To me, the worst pick probably is Pittman. I'm with you. I'm not in on him this year for fantasy, really.
Yeah, I would say him. It was too early.
It's where he was ranked. But yeah, I'm not on board with that. Best pick, maybe it's Brees Hall. It's hard to say.
I would say Brees Hall or JSN, just because I could see this year being his breakout year for the
It could.
Seahawks.
Yeah, I like that, taking that chance. I like Brian Robinson too. It's going to be annoying dealing with Eckler, but Brian Robinson, he's just solid. Should be a good running back too.
No, we
I
could do
don't know
Brian
why he
Robinson.
drafted Alexander Madison.
I had him on my list. He could have a role.
No,
Who knows?
it's a bad offense.
The worst offense.
He sucks. He's not. He could have a role, but like he's not gonna. You need to be worthwhile in a shit offense as a shit player. You basically need to have the entirety of the workload. It's not going to happen. All right, yeah, you want to go to Mecca? Let's do
Yeah.
that. This was an interesting draft. Didn't take a running back until the sixth round, so this is pretty much a zero running back build, and I feel like it came very close to being executed really well, but I don't. There's something feels a little off to me.
And what's that?
I don't love the running back group. Obviously, you go zero running back, you're not going to have a great running back group. But
No.
man, Mostert and Edwards, you're banking on two really old guys who had ridiculous touchdown output last year. And then behind them, Chase Brown, who I like. We actually talked about this once. I think we both like Chase Brown.
If I didn't start off with 4 running backs, he was on my list.
Yeah, I think that was a good shot. And Jalen Wright is he's another freak
Sleeper.
athlete that Miami has added to the fold, and a really smart pick by Matt having Mostert to get Jalen Wright. If something happens to Mostert, Jalen Wright will be involved in some way. So that was good to get that kind of handcuff type pick. I don't, and I really like Mostert, but I feel like maybe he could have gone. Maybe you could have gotten him around later.
Yeah, what
And
round
Gus,
did he take him in? 8?
he took him sixth.
Damn. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's early.
Well, it was probably simply a matter of I got to get one of the guys I believe in. Um, we'll see who else was available around there at the position. You had Brian Robinson, Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, Tony Pollard, and Spears, both from Tennessee. Jalen Warren too. So it kind of makes sense to grab Mostert, who, as long as he's healthy, probably will be top 15 at the position. What are the chances he stays healthy again?
Well, last year was the first time he was healthy, so who knows? Who knows?
That's
So,
yeah. Well, nobody knows, and that's obviously going to probably dictate how this team goes. At least unless Matt finds some other running back. But yeah, Mostert's a big X factor. How do you feel about the 3 receivers that he took?
I want to say he has the best trio.
He might. Um,
No one knows how Marvin Harrison's going to pan out. Um, for being ranked that high as a rookie, it's uh,
it's tough.
it's a gamble.
Harrison, it big gamble. Harrison is just like awesome talent, but yeah, you're drafting him to me at a spot where it's kind of like his ceiling. You pretty much you draft him as like a wide receiver, basically low end wide receiver 1, so he needs to be that for you. And then Cooper Kupp is really interesting. I know a ton of people are like completely back in on him. I'm really not. I'm very concerned with um injury risk, just age in general. Obviously, Nakua was unbelievable last year. I know he's been banged up in the preseason, but I don't. To me, Cup is the number 2 in that offense.
I I would say I disagree with you there. I think Cup is just the guy for Stafford, and if he stays healthy, I think he'll outperform Puka this year.
It's possible. It's just I don't like taking as much as possible. I don't like taking aging players, and that's just kind of been something. It's just been a way that I've looked at it for a while. At least not in the very early rounds.
Yeah, well,
I
did he?
prefer taking somebody who's ascending versus yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right on Cup, but Nakua was fantastic last year. I do,
No,
I do really like the Trey McBride pick, but the only thing is, you got two pass catchers in Arizona now. That's a little that hurts your upside a bit because what are the chances of them both having great performances in the same week? I mean, obviously it'll happen sometimes, but how often?
yeah.
And Richardson is incredibly risky too.
I know he hasn't looked good in the preseason, but
Well, he doesn't need to be real life good to be elite for fantasy.
uh,
And he's gonna play. He's gonna play unless he's horrendous. Um,
mm,
we've seen it with Justin Fields has been a bad real life quarterback who at times has been amazing for fantasy football. So Anthony Richardson could be that. And it's going to work out. The thing is, again, there's injury risk with Richardson. And I think there's real risk of him having some horrible games. I think there's very high ceiling with him, but very low floor. This is a risky team. First, zero running back, first off, is a very risky thing to do. To me, Kupp has risk. Richardson has risk. You're drafting a rookie Harrison in the top 20. It was a ballsy draft. Mostert carries risk.
Gus Edwards carries risk.
Absolutely.
Mm. I
It's
know he's got Marquise Brown though, and I don't know how long he's going to be out for the Chiefs.
it's going to be a little bit,
But
but he should be back uh, before the end of September. But uh, I don't know. Yeah, I think that was a good uh, chance to take on him in the ninth round. Got some upside guys on the bench. Brown, Wright, Wicks. Well, both Browns.
Jordan Mason, who knows?
Yeah, well, he's the seemingly the backup to McCaffrey right now.
Who would you say is his best and worst pick?
I really like McBride in the fifth. We didn't talk about St. Brown either because what is there to say? He's just really as solid as it gets, as reliable as it gets.
I would say he was probably the safest pick in the first round, personally.
Outside, he might be like based on where he was going. You're saying, or
Yeah, and just like overall, like he's going to be getting catches, and
yeah, I
he's the
think
safety
Hill.
guy.
I think Hill and Lamb, as long as Lamb has this contract nonsense attached to him, but I think Hill and Lamb are basically just as safe. But yeah, I'm with you. St. Brown, his role is super assured, and maybe that's what made Matt feel like he could take some of the chances that he did. Worst pick? I don't know.
I
That's
would
what's
say,
weird about this. I don't really hate any of them.
yeah, no, but I think I would say Raheem Mostert in the sixth round was probably, in my opinion.
Well, when I looked at some of the other running backs around in that area, pretty much none of them represent the upside that Mostert was. He was a top 5 running back last year, and so the guys who were going around in that range, They're not going to do that, most likely. So yeah, while that was probably a maybe round or so reach, I don't mind it. Maybe Gus Edwards. I don't buy into Gus Edwards working out this year.
Neither do I.
It was so touchdown dependent last year, and it's always going to be with him because he doesn't catch the ball. And look at he had one game over 68 yards rushing last year. They got other guys like the Chargers are going to run it a ton. That's what it seems like. Makes sense. That's who Jim Harbaugh has always been, and that's the way they've been in the preseason. But they have other guys, and I don't know. You're pretty much going to need Edwards to score 10+ touchdowns again to work out. That's probably the pick I like the least. Where do you want to go to next?
Dylan. Bucker Stroud boys.
Yes. I'll first say that I hate that he took Jonathan Taylor because when he took him 2 years ago, it was a nightmare of a season and it was just horrible listening to him complain about Taylor and cry about him, how he wasn't performing, he got injured. And then here he is, he goes back. He goes back that way. I was very surprised. I don't know about you. There was a real question mark starting at 9 because to me there was a bit of a tear drop off after 8. I thought he would take AJ Brown, but Taylor could end up being a really good pick. The Colts will almost certainly ride him. The nice thing there is you have a full, as opposed to last year, you have a full off season. He's healthy. There's no contract issue like there was a year ago. And by the end of last season, he had really started to turn back into who he is. So yeah, I think that was a good pick. And then he gets Nakua, who I've already said how I feel. Don't love that he's missed time. Could lead to maybe a slow start, but really good player. How do you feel about Devontae Adams?
Um, I was debating on taking him in
Yeah.
the third round,
Mm-hmm.
but no, I just really didn't want anything to do with the Raiders offense.
Yeah. I
And
think I think it's a good pick at 33 overall, but I'm with you. Like that offense, it's just not. It's probably going to create what happened to Adams last year, which is like at the end of the season, you might look at it and say, "Oh wow, yeah, he had good numbers," but I could see it being very inconsistent again, like it was.
yeah,
He was flat out horrible from weeks 4 through 10, basically from weeks 4 to 14. He scored over 11 and a half points once from weeks 4 through 14 last year.
yeah,
That's insane.
yeah, no, Jimmy Garoppolo fucked him.
And Aiden O'Connell.
Aiden O'Connell, but I mean, I'm pretty sure in his last 2 weeks, yeah, at least week 17, I know he put up like 31 points.
Yeah, he did that. He did that twice. He had those two insane games. He had 41 targets between weeks 3 and 17. And outside those two games, he was largely irrelevant.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, obviously, we know how good he is, and Gardner Minshew is a step up from what they had. Gardner Minshew has made guys fantasy relevant in the past. Michael Pittman last year, and Devontae Adams is better than Michael Pittman. So we'll see. So that's going to be important for Dylan's team is for Adams to at least just have some have a higher floor than he had. The rest of the team, I'm a big fan of DJ Moore. I don't care at all that they brought in that target competition. I really liked that pick. I was very much considering him right where Dylan took him. Stroud, I think, will be good, but Stroud is again a guy with very little rushing output, and so you need a high touchdown season from him for him to be elite for fantasy. He needs to have 35 to 40 touchdowns to end up as an elite fantasy producer. So, can he do that? Absolutely. But it's hard to bet on it. What do you think about DeAndre Swift?
I've not tapped into like Hard Knocks at all. I really don't know what his role is gonna be. If they even touched on that, but
I don't know.
I could see like Lil Herbert like splitting carries with them.
Him and Roshan Johnson. I wanted to say I saw some report about Herbert maybe being on the trade block. But yeah, it wouldn't shock me if those guys are involved in some way. But they paid DeAndre Swift a pretty fair amount of money.
Yeah.
I think he'll be a fine running back too. I don't know if I love that you've got two Bears and then like is that an offense where you want to have two guys in your starting lineup? I don't know if I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, it could be the year. Like last year, the Texans were
Yeah,
a powerhouse with the rookie quarterback.
it's a fair take. I think they'll be a decent offense. It's just to have two guys in your starting lineup, you want that to be a very good offense, and I don't know if they'll get there right away. Jake Ferguson, I really like Jake Ferguson. With all the like kind of elite tight end options gone, I thought it was nice for him to secure Ferguson. Prescott loves feeding that position. He always has. And Ferguson is damn good. He's a fucking freak. So his role could grow.
Yeah.
I don't like Dylan's bench.
But he's got Thielen, he's got Jerry Judy. I would say those are really the only two highlights of it.
I don't think of Jerry Judy as anything. What has he done?
I don't know. The Browns traded for him. I mean,
I know, but like he couldn't. He was on a Denver team last year with very little target competition, and he was irrelevant. Meanwhile, Cortland Sutton was incredibly relevant, but Judy did nothing.
no.
And now he's got to deal with Amari Cooper and how much better is the quarterback situation that he's going to? Is Deshaun Watson going to be viable?
He might be. I think Lohan snagged him.
Who, Watson?
I think so, or it might have been Larar.
I don't think Larar did.
Somebody took him as the second quarterback.
It was Larar. You're right.
Uh,
He
um,
might end up starting him because his starter is Aaron Rodgers. But back to Dylan. Nick Chubb, I like taking the shot on him. It's going to be a while before he's anything this year.
yeah,
But that could be a really nice guy to have down the stretch.
100%. I know like a month ago or whatever, there was a video of him like squatting 500 pounds.
Mhm. Yeah, he's just one of those. He's ridiculous, and if anybody's going to come back from that carnage, he's the type of guy who can. But yeah, you just know that you're basically. Let's see where their buy is. They've got a week 10 buy. It's kind of hard to count on getting anything before then. I think he'll obviously get himself back into action, but there will be an easing in period probably. And then yeah, maybe you hope that out after that bye week, he's fully himself. And if you're in a good spot at that point, maybe you add a top 15-ish running back in Nick Chubb for the last 2 months of the season. I absolutely think it was worth the chance. But running back depth is a concern on this team early on. I mean, Charbonnet, he was nothing last year. He was irrelevant. And then Antonio Gibson, it's, if we were still a PPR league, maybe that's a guy you could count on as a dart throw running back too when you need it. But in half, I don't really see I don't see the path there. What's your favorite pick from this team?
I want to say Jake Ferguson.
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna go with DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore at 40 overall is awesome. And with better quarterback, he was great last year with no quarterback play because DJ Moore is just simply really good. Now, for the first time in his career, he's going to have a viable quarterback attached to him. Yeah, you bring in Roma Dunze and Keenan Allen to eat up some targets, but Moore, he's still going to see his, and it should be a huge improvement at the quarterback position and just overall for that offense. So I really like DJ Moore this year.
Mm,
Least favorite might be Swift.
I agree. Cool. Well, what pick did he take him with?
64. But again, like who else were you looking at there? I think that's right around where Mostert went. Would I have taken Mostert over Swift? I don't know. To me, like all those guys in that area are pretty much the same. So you just take who you like of the group and you hope it works out. But that was also I had very little interest in taking a running back in that area and I didn't do it because I felt my thoughts were that some of the guys who were going 2 or 3 rounds later were essentially as good as those types. And so I just thought I'll wait. I'll just wait and take like Jerome Ford. I don't feel Jerome Ford being that much differently than someone like Swift, except for the fact that Swift, you're at least in theory going to be starting all season, whereas Ford probably won't.
mm,
I think so far, I look at the 3 teams. I think they're all very similar. Like they're all just solid teams, and Dylan's feels a little more like Klingman, where it's just kind of fine. He needs Adams. He needs Adams to be good. Or Nakua. So are you down on Nakua to a point where you don't think that was a good pick?
For where he was ranked, I wouldn't have taken him there if
Okay.
I had the opportunity to. But yeah, I think Cup's gonna outperform him. I think Cup was the value pick.
Yeah, if you think that, then obviously Nakua was bad value.
And then I don't know. I've been tapped into preseason. They got the one guy from Texas, I think, Jordan Whittington. I think his name is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm. He was filthy. He's like the same build as them. I saw highlights on TikTok, but he who knows? Say if Puka misses,
He's had a nice preseason, Whittington.
man. So, but yeah, just for where he was going, like say if he was in the third round or fourth round, like that would have been a fine pick
Hmm,
for an early second. Not really. The juice wasn't worth the squeeze.
fair enough. I think I really like him. I think he's a pretty special player. Um, so it's an area where we disagree, but I think what I guess I'd agree that maybe he should have been more around like 20th overall. But to me, it doesn't. I don't know. 20th versus 16th. It's not really important at all. All right, who are we going? So we've done Colin, Mecca, and Dylan. Where do we go now?
White flag, David Horvath.
Yeah, the white flag. It's got to change that.
Wow, I think his team's looking nice.
I agree. I mean, I think there's some really fun guys. Um, Barkley is, we know he's a risk. I don't quite know what to expect out of him. You're hoping he stays on the field all year. Gibbs, I don't love that he's been injured, but I'm all in on Jahmyr Gibbs, the player. And then I think Waddle is a good pick. Like you get Waddle 38th. The thing that screwed Waddle last year was he only scored 4 touchdowns. If he could like double that, which I don't think is asking for that much, if he could get that up to 8, he's going to be a great pick. I like Zay Flowers. I like Tank Dell. Like I just think these are fun players who have a ton of upside.
Yeah. I want to say Tank Dell is going to he'll finish above Diggs and Collins this year.
He could. I think he'll finish above Diggs. I believe Diggs will be the worst of the three for fantasy.
Yeah.
Uh, Dell, unbelievable. Uh, Big play and deep threat. That should just be a fun offense overall. But yeah, I don't think that's a ridiculous prediction to make by any means that Dell will lead those three. Yeah, this is just a fun group. Young team, upside, and you have Mahomes, who you're hoping with the investments they made at the receiver position, you're hoping that he returns to what he was uh, earlier in his career for fantasy. Get up more towards that 40 touchdown total. I like David Njoku. I feel similarly to him as I did about Jake Ferguson. Like after those elite guys, I think they were fine options to end up with. The bench is not great.
I'm a big fan of Keon Coleman.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
somebody's going to work out there.
Whoever it is, Curtis Samuel or Khalil Shakir or whatever.
For me, I would put my money on Shakir just because
Uh,
he's been good in his limited opportunity in the past.
I agree. But I don't
But
know.
yeah,
They traded up. Well, they traded back to then take him with the first pick of the second round in the
yeah,
draft. I
yeah,
don't
they
know.
obviously believe in him.
I like him as a flyer. Like, he's a
I,
good wide receiver four.
I agree.
And
I
then I
agree.
also like Ty Chandler to eventually take over the starting job in Minnesota.
He could. But like I don't know. We've talked about the Raiders offense, like the Vikings offense. Do you want do you even want the starting running back in that offense? I don't know.
No.
It was I like look, Horvath took him 131st, so obviously there was no investment. Why not take the chance? But even if if Jones gets injured or if Jones uh is washed, um I'm not sure it's some like wow, this is going to be what an amazing steal you got. I think it would just probably be a solid running back too. What about Eckler?
I don't know what that split's gonna look like between him and Brian Robinson. It's if Eckler is gonna be doing Eckler things, so should be beneficial.
I'm done with him. Uh Fully out. I think he's done. And I think Brian Robinson will I don't think it's going to be probably very 50-50. And Eckler wasn't good last year when he was getting 15 to 20 touches a game. If that's more like 10 to 15, I just don't see how he's going to be worth the damn. But I could be wrong. But I'm very much out on him. So far of the teams we've done, this is my favorite.
I agree.
I really like the potential for almost all of these guys in the starting lineup to take off. Could have two top 10 running backs. Wouldn't surprise me if those three receivers he has all push for top 15 at the position.
Yeah.
What's your favorite pick?
I would say Waddle.
Yeah,
Yeah, Waddle, I would say is my favorite. And then don't really have a least favorite, but I would say Zay Flowers. I just didn't want to take him
okay.
when I had that opportunity, but really, I guess Darnell Mooney or whatever would be my least favorite. But Waddle, I would
Weird
say,
to me that Mooney I didn't know that he was in Atlanta.
yeah,
I didn't know that happened. My least favorite is easily Eckler, and then favorite is probably between um, Gibbs Waddle and Dell. I really like all three of those. And it's hard for me to pick one. I guess it's probably Dell, just from a value standpoint. But yeah, this could be a good year for Horvath. It definitely could. So we've done a third of the league. Where do you want to go next?
I'm just going in order of how it's pulled up on my computer. So
Okay.
Matthew Nothdurft, Team Hawk Tua.
Uh, this is my first time looking at his team.
Yeah.
What a brutal hole he has at tight end. Dalton Schultz, I don't know. Maybe he'll be okay. But now he's the fourth option in that offense. Yeah, Nordif's going to have to do something about that.
He'll be streaming.
Yeah, but like, who? Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill.
He does have Hawkinson for when he comes back.
I don't know what the timetable looks like on that, but
I don't either, really. Could miss anywhere from 3 to 7 regular season games. Okay.
but
I like the Wilson Williams start. I think it's certainly risky going with Wilson and relying on 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers, like relying on him to stay healthy. Because if he gets hurt, it's probably going to be a repeat of last year where it's just going to be mildly disappointing.
yeah. But
He essentially, but I think it could work out amazingly. I think that's absolutely in the realm of possibility too. How do you feel about Kyren Williams?
I know they drafted a kid from Michigan or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know what, like, I think they traded up to get him in like the third round or whatever, but I don't know if Kyron's gonna have the role he did last year, where he was just the only guy.
he was the only thing they had.
So
It's
I'm like
really
him.
it's really
I
interesting.
I would have took Jahmyr Gibbs over him personally.
Yeah, but well, I mean, Gibbs, we know for sure will have competition.
Yeah,
Williams he was one of the more difficult guys for me to decide on. I knew that obviously I was not going to most likely have the opportunity to take him at 17 overall. I would have taken him if he made it there. This Blake Corum, it's really odd because it could be last year. You know, everyone was freaking out about Zach Charbonnet. He's going to cut into Ken Walker's workload, and then that just didn't happen. And so maybe we see a repeat of that where Corum is just a depth piece. But if he is more than a depth piece, and Williams does take a hit in volume, it's going to hurt because Williams he was very volume dependent. It's not like he was most weeks doing anything insane. It was a matter of like, you know, he wasn't averaging 5 yards per carry. It was more about he's getting 30 touches. He had several games where he saw between 25 and 30 touches. That's what made him so goddamn good. If that drops down to more like 20, high teens, 20, it would hurt. But I still like him. I At the end of the day, I do still like him. And I don't know that Corum is going to be a huge.
Yeah. How do you feel about Rashi Rice?
What did you say?
How do you feel about the Rashi Rice pick?
What do I think about that?
Yeah.
My fucking thing cut out. 1 second here. Rice was interesting. I didn't go where he did. I thought that Rice I thought he'd go a little later than that. I don't dislike it. I don't think he'll get suspended this year.
I don't think so either.
I think that would have happened by now. Obviously, it always looms in the background as a possibility, and that would be pretty terrible for Matt's team. But I just don't see that happening at this point in the year. It'd be pretty wild for them to do that to essentially the team that's the face of the league at this point, to just like screw them mid-season like that. What are your thoughts? So Rice, I mean, obviously there's major target competition that was brought in because last year he was the only decent receiver they had on their entire team.
Yeah.
It was him and a bunch of fucking nobodies.
I believed in Sky Moore.
Oh, he's awful.
Horrible.
He really is awful.
But like, if he's still going to be the guy, I don't know. I know for when like the starters were out there and they're like I know in the one preseason game I was looking at it and Mahomes was targeting him and just Xavier Worthy.
Worthy. Yeah.
Um,
I think he'll be good. Like you've carved out a role in possibly the best offense in the league. Like he's going to be good.
uh,
Um, it feels like it would have been nice for Matt to get him around later than he did. But he wanted him. He that was how you assured that you would get him. So I don't love it, but I certainly don't dislike it because anytime you can get an important piece in one of the best offenses in the league, that's always a good thing to do. Now, Kamara, it's so gross because he was not good last year for real life purposes, but he just fucking finds a way through his volume to be relevant, and I think he'll be a good running back too. I really do.
yeah.
I like
Definitely.
Matt's team.
It's not bad and like he's I would say well, there's a question mark at wide receiver 3 if Deontay Johnson is going to be the guy
Yeah.
in Carolina. I know their new head coach said like they're going to be playing through him.
Mm.
So I don't
Yeah, and
know if that means anything, but
yeah, well, is Bryce Young going to be okay?
um, who knows?
Who we nobody you really don't know, but man, like Deontay,
But then Jameson Williams, like, I if this needs to be the year that he does something,
yeah,
and then Gabe Davis, like I think he took him one of the last like 2 rounds, but he could be the wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville. Who knows?
Yeah, but like Gabe Davis is who he is.
Yeah.
He's never a guy that you're going to want to start.
I
If
don't
he
know.
couldn't make it work in Buffalo with Allen, I don't think it's going to work here. Obviously, yeah, you don't have Stephon Diggs anymore taking targets from you, and maybe you're right. Maybe he is their leading guy. But Brian Thomas has had a nice preseason. Kirk, Ingram. It's not like they have nobody. They have decent. They have other decent options. Yeah, if you're Matt, you really do need one of these guys to emerge as a viable third receiver. I really like the shot he took on Jaleel uh, McLaughlin.
Yeah.
I know you have Javonte Williams. I think McLaughlin's going to cut into him.
He could. I don't know. I saw something that McLaughlin's on like a per touch basis. Like he's gonna be limited to like 10 touches a game or something.
He's small.
So who
Yeah,
really knows?
he's not
When we
going to be
get
a
to my team,
workhorse.
I'll talk about my mindset was, but I don't know. I'm a big fan of Jonathan Brooks pick.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
He got him at a good spot, 85th.
and
Again, like you're not. It's similar to Chubb. You're not going to have him. Probably he probably won't be relevant.
for like week 7.
Yeah, it sounds like he's going to miss the first month, and then it'll take a couple weeks. But he could be really nice to have the second half of the season. And if that's the case, you end up having quite the running back group if you're Nordiff, because Montgomery should be solid again.
Yeah.
I do. I feel like the team's missing a little bit of upside. Because you have a low ceiling flex. And I kind of feel like Rice is a low ceiling wide receiver too. Rice had, when you look at it, he had 2 games over 15.2 fantasy points last year. And that was with no one, no target competition besides obviously Kelsey. Um, so if his ceiling last year was about 15, is it really going to go up this year?
Yeah.
You could say that he'll take a leap from his rookie year to his second year. He may. Kamara, what's his ceiling at this point in his career? And with us not being, thank God, not being PPR anymore.
Yeah. 100% hurts his value, but I really don't know what that running back. I know they had their rookie last year, Kendra Miller, and he was
Yeah,
hurt. Like I don't
the
know. He's healthy now,
the
or whatever, but
the coach speak on Kendra Miller has been really bad. There was there was a quote from, I think it was Dennis Allen. I don't think it was the offensive coordinator. I think it was Dennis Allen basically saying like this guy doesn't he doesn't know what he's doing out there. So I don't think Kendra Miller is a big concern. And so Kamara will probably get his 20 touches per game again. It's really all you need to guarantee a solid season. Lamar Jackson back with Matt. I like Lamar.
MVP.
He is the reigning MVP.
So technically, he's got the best. But yeah, so Out of all the teams, I would still say Horvath is the best looking.
I agree. I would still take Horvath's over this one, but I like this team. I think you also know that Matt he'll do a nice job in season. He'll probably find a way to figure tight end out, but that is a real concern. He had to be pretty disgusted when I took Brock Bowers, I'm guessing.
He was. He
Good.
was. I was on FaceTime with him when we were drafting.
Good.
I forget who else you took. Let me go look. James Conner, he was pissed about. And then Chuba.
Oh yeah.
Those
Yeah,
three
we'll
picks.
get to that when we get to my team. But all right, best and worst picks
I'd say
for
best pick, Garrett Wilson at
yeah,
12.
I like that.
And then worst pick.
I don't really see a worst pick here.
Not really a worst pick. I would say my least favorite pick was David Montgomery in the
Yeah.
second round.
Yeah, I mean, I had Montgomery last year, and so it was an enjoyable experience. But man, if the touchdowns regress, it's not going to be good. He was incredibly touchdown dependent last year. The nice thing is that he had about as good of a goal line role as anyone in the entire NFL. They got inside the 10 and they would just feed that man. And I don't know that there's any reason to believe that will change. But touchdowns in the NFL are largely fickle year to year. And if Montgomery drops from 13 down to more like 8, it will hurt. It will hurt. So I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be my least favorite too, despite the fact that I like him. Favorite, I guess it is probably Garrett Wilson. Just a bunch of solid picks by Matt. None that make me say like, wow, that's amazing. And none that make me say that I don't understand. So Jonathan Brooks could end up being really, really good. But it's
100.
also possible that, and I will be rooting for this, of course, it's possible that Brooks, it will take until next year for it to materialize. Because you don't want as a rookie to basically have no preseason, no camp. And if Hubbard plays well, which he did last year, if Hubbard plays well, they'll have no real reason to go away from him. Where are we going next?
Team shit.
Okay. The man who has dominated this league. And let me start off by saying him being reunited with Tyreek Hill it's somewhat sickening.
Right.
You just know that Tyreek Hill is going to be amazing for team shit. And so don't love that for the league. Achan, man. So Achan was, to me, my pick in the second round. I knew I was going to take a running back, and it was essentially I'm going to go safe with Etienne or Pacheco, which Etienne ended up going before me. I didn't even have the choice on him. So it was going to be safe with Etienne or Pacheco, but I really, everything in me wanted to take the shot on Achan. I didn't have the guts to do it. Sam did. And that's a scary guy to end up with Sam too.
Yeah.
Did you have interest in Achan?
If he was there, I was. My initial plan was to start off triple or quadruple running back what I did, but I wanted James Cook and Achane instead of
Okay.
whoever I
Josh
took.
Jacobs and Rashad White.
And Rashad White.
Yeah.
But,
No, I love Achane. There's no disputing that he is a top, probably 5 athlete in the sport. Fun offense. Yes, he's not going to be a workhorse type of guy. Most likely, he doesn't need to be. Give him 15 touches. That's all he needs. And the big hope is that he stays healthy. And if he stays healthy, I think he will go down as one of the steals of the draft.
100%.
But the reason he went 22nd is because he carries insane injury risk. So that's the gamble you're taking there. I love it. I think it's a great pick. Now the rest of the team, I mean, Laporta really fell into Sam's lap. Laporta at 46 was great.
He had him last year too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he picked him up, I want to say, before the season started. And then traded you Kittle, correct?
Yeah.
It was like Kittle and Rashad White for Jacobs.
It was Kittle and Rashad White for Jacobs. And then
Which ended up being a pretty good trade for both of you.
Yeah.
I think the one thing I don't love about Sam's starting lineup is having both Tampa receivers.
Yeah.
I like both of them individually this year. I would not want to be starting both of them on a weekly basis. How do you feel about Zamir White?
Hate it.
So it's really funny. It's really funny because so when he had those weeks at the end of last season when he was starting, he looked damn good too. And I told myself, like, this is a guy I want next year. And then when I was starting to prepare for this draft, I started thinking about, like, this man had no role before that last month of the season. Like, he was completely irrelevant for basically 2 years.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. Like, now, to be fair to him, a little over one of those seasons was with a complete moron in Josh McDaniels. So it's very possible that that idiot just wasted him. But at the same time, like, I can't help but think of, and I can't help but think of Alexander Madison, who was essentially the same thing. When Dalvin Cook was healthy, Madison was irrelevant, did not step on the field. When Dalvin Cook would get injured, Madison would step in, get 25 touches, and be good for fantasy. And that's why people bought into Madison being good last year when he finally got the starting role. This feels so similar to me. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And I was looking up some things after the draft on White just to see, like, what the kind of consensus is on him. There is no consensus. People are incredibly torn on him. Some think he is going to be awesome. And then others are more like us. Yeah, if I would, I don't think it's going to work out. I think he'll be all right, but I don't think it's going to be a guy that you want. I think it'll be very similar to Madison. That's where I'm at. Do you think you said you hate it, so do you think that he's going to be like a guy you can't even play?
No, I would say he'll get him between 7. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know what the points are gonna look like now with the half PPR, but
yeah,
like maybe 10 points, 10
sure.
points a week. I don't
Now,
know what it,
with that being said, I actually really like the Devin Singletary pick.
Devin Singletary pick. Well, I would say Sam will probably be playing him over Zamir White, I think.
I agree. I think I think that will happen as well. And then Rico Dowdle could be very interesting too.
Yeah, because who knows what's gonna happen down there.
Exactly. That's a great shot to take. I, I I mean, obviously this is a quality team, and the Murray Laporta quarterback tight end duo is nice. I think the biggest weak that running back two spot's a little iffy, of course. I don't think it's bad. It's just a little iffy, and it just feels like a very um, kind of uninspiring group of receivers from Godwin down.
Yeah.
Like solid. I think Kirk will be solid, but I feel like you would have liked to have one kind of upside option.
Yeah,
I
there's not
like
much.
Romeo Dobbs.
I was gonna say Romeo Dobbs is my favorite pick that he made.
Yeah, it feels like he's kind of a forgotten man because everyone loves Jaden Reed because he scored all those touchdowns last year. People really like Christian Watson because he's a just raw skills freak who was really good 2 years ago. Dontavian Wicks is kind of the sleeper favorite for everybody because he's been good in all limited action he's gotten. And it just feels like Dobbs is a forgotten piece. And Dobbs was very important during their uh, most important games of the season. Dobbs was really good in the playoffs.
Yeah. I remember it was in like during like mini camp or something. It was in the summer. I saw a post and it was like Jordan Love. It was after he got the contract, and it was like his dream offense. It was
Mm-hmm.
like all star players and then Romeo Dobbs
Wow.
in the list.
Yeah, that says something.
Um, yeah, no, I'm that's my favorite pick that he made,
Wow.
I would
Yeah,
say.
I'm a big fan of it too. My favorite pick is Achan. I just love that he had the balls to do it
Yeah.
because it's very possible it doesn't work out, but that's a great chance to take. It's fun betting on guys like that, and he has two of the fastest players in the NFL, and you're going to get so many big plays out of Achan and Hill.
It's a shame because they are on the same team, and
Yeah,
he's really banking on the Florida teams. But
you're right. That's true. Yeah, he's got four Florida guys in his starting lineup. Um, yeah, and it's you don't love doing that, having two guys from the same team in your starting lineup unless it's a quarterback pass catcher stack. Because in theory, there's only so much to go around on a week to week basis. Like
yeah,
if Hill has a monster game, then that probably means that Achan didn't, because it's not like they're gonna both score 3 touchdowns in the same game, most likely. But still, I think those guys will coexist nicely.
yeah.
Do you like Kyler Murray for fantasy this year?
I think he took him the pick before me.
Probably, yeah.
I was planning on drafting him.
Yeah. I very strongly considered taking him before, and it would have been a reach. I was picking like 66th overall, and I very strongly considered taking him because I just knew he wouldn't make it back,
Yeah.
and I do like him for fantasy this year.
And
Least favorite pick, I think, for both of us has to be White, right?
yeah.
Because there are no other picks that I dislike. Maybe Godwin. I don't know what to think of Godwin. They moved him back to the slot. That's good. But Godwin was fucking bad last year. He scored 2 touchdowns.
Did he all last year?
He had two. Nordhoff had him. He screwed Nordhoff.
Damn, man, 2 touchdowns.
Mike Evans was so far and away Baker's favorite target.
Yeah.
But again, Godwin moving back to the slot could be really good for him because that's where he has excelled in the past. Might end up, they could both finish in the top 15.
They could.
They've done it before. Yeah, just typically, solid draft by Sam. And the question is, which of these guys on the bench is going to end up being like one of the steals of the whole draft? Because somebody will. Maybe Dowdle. Dowdle will probably be a top 10 running back this year.
Yeah.
Who's up next?
The A train.
The A train.
And before we get into it, right after the draft, Nordhoff texted me and he goes, I kinda hate Andrew's team.
Wow.
That was the quote text.
Huh. Those two have a fun little rivalry between them.
Just shots fired on the pod.
Constantly. Constant shots fired between those two. And I believe, from the little bit of texting we did, it seems like you don't like Andrew's team very much.
Um Tajay Spears, and that's really it. I'm a fan of, like, if CD doesn't hold out or get traded or whatever's gonna happen with that contract.
I think it'll
Uh,
work out.
it's funny how he fell them at
Pretty
5.
crazy. Yep. Yeah, I
Um,
don't think anybody saw that coming.
I think Devontae Smith. I like the Devontae Smith pick.
Yeah,
Um, Calvin Ridley. Who knows if
I
he'll get
don't
back
I
to his
don't
old ways.
yeah, I don't know.
I was debating on taking him over Pickens in the 5th round. Then I went with Pickens.
Yeah, I prefer
Uh,
Pickens.
but yeah, no, I'm a fan of those 3 receivers. James Cook, I was planning on drafting in the 2nd round, but taking Josh Allen early, like I think his rushing is going to be going up because the receiving room is completely different this year.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would have taken him in the 3rd round if I was a Ponder.
I would have taken Allen if he made it to me in the third. Uh Allen, so last year he had 22 turnovers and he was still fantastic for fantasy football. Um he just gets it done. And a big part of it is that rushing. He had a crazy amount of rushing touchdowns. Did he have like 13 or something? 3, 7, 9, 11. It looks like he had
He
15.
had 15.
That's insane. That's why he was great for fantasy last year.
Yeah.
15, it's kind of hard to bank on that happening again. But he should end up with 10. And you're hoping for maybe those turnovers to drop a little. That's a big part of his game. He's always going to have turnovers, but if you could go down from 22 to more like 15, that really helps, and that kind of offsets maybe some of the rushing touchdowns that you lose. I like the Allen pick. Again, like, could have waited several rounds, and yeah, but he quarterback was a nightmare for him last year. He just wanted to get a set it and forget it guy. So my thoughts on James Cook, because I don't completely feel the same way that the majority of people do. James Cook has like 4 touchdowns in his career, like 4 rushing touchdowns in his whole career, something like that.
Yeah.
Is that going to change? Because if that doesn't change, he cannot be elite for fantasy. He will not return on investment as the 20th overall pick. He just won't. And so it's actually kind of weird for Andrew in that you could look at it 2 ways, right? He's going to get the rushing touchdowns for the Bills now, like no matter what.
Yeah.
So if Cook keeps getting vultured by Allen as he has for the last 2 years, it won't hurt. But you also capped your upside in the sense that only one of them can score a rushing touchdown at a time. It's kind of similar to that, like, Achane and Hill thing. Like you hurt your upside a little bit if you're Andrew by doing that. It's sort of the opposite of having a quarterback wide receiver stack. Only one of them, obviously, except for when Cook has a receiving touchdown, which he might have a few of those. He did last year. But only one of them can end up in the end zone at one time. So I don't know if I love that. I don't know if I really like having Allen and Cook. And Smith, really good player, but you need him. He needs to garner more targets. Double-digit targets 4 times last year. He had over 5 he had 5 or less targets 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 times. 5 or less targets 8 times. That is really, really problematic. Good wide receiver 2. Is he ever going to be able to be a wide receiver 1? I don't know. I don't know if he can as long as AJ Brown is there.
Okay.
Mark Andrews, I like.
After the car crash?
He's been all right. He's missed some practice, but Harbaugh maintains he's fine.
Uh,
You get him 53rd overall. I think that's really good value. Calvin Ridley, I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. Like,
I think I don't know if D Hop's supposed to
fine.
miss any games or whatever,
He may.
but
He might be out.
like I'm not familiar with Will Levis in his game, but if he could feed him the ball.
Well, the nice thing about Will Levis is that he is not afraid of anything. He will air it out. And so you got that. If you're Ridley, they paid him big money, and you've got a quarterback who's a gunslinger. So that could be good. But that offense, like, You need that offense to be decent for Ridley to have scoring opportunities. I kind of like Andrews' bench. I think Zach Moss is fine.
Lad McConkey. He could be wide receiver one for the Chargers.
He could. He could.
Trey Benson.
Trey Benson could be a good, like, second half of the season guy.
And then Algier, same thing. Who knows what's going to be happening with him and Bijan.
Yeah, and that's a high value handcuff, obviously, and yeah, you know that Algier is probably going to have some role. So if you needed in a pinch to throw him into your lineup, it's not the worst thing.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the Tajay Spears as a running back too, but out of either him or Pollard, I would rather Spears.
I really like Spears. I don't know if he's going to be good for fantasy. I think he's a pretty awesome player. I think he'll be similar to what Jaylen Warren was last year. I think you can get away with him as your running back too, like a very low end running back too. I think you could get away with that. I don't mind Andrew's team. I really don't. I don't see what there is to really dislike about it. He has an elite quarterback tight end combination. Elite. Probably the best in the league. He has maybe the wide receiver one. I don't believe in James Cook, but you know that James Cook he's not going to be a bust. He's at least going to be a low end running back one, high end running back two. Like that's pretty much his floor. Smith and Ridley are solid. And to me, the running back two spot is all right. It's not great, but I think he has enough guys to where he'll be able to figure that out. So I don't see what there is to hate about the team. Except for the fact that it's Andrew and he's kind of snake bitten and it's easy to think that it just won't work out.
Yeah. Who would you say is your favorite pick from?
Yeah. I guess it's Lamb at 5. But it's not like wow, that's just the way it fell. It fell to him that way. So that's kind of a cop out to do that. Maybe if I had to go by value, Mark Andrews at 53 is nice.
I like Devontae in the 4th round.
I can't get past the lack of involvement for him some weeks. And that's kind of the issue whenever you take someone who's the wide receiver 2 on their team. Like we saw it with him, we saw it with Waddle, we saw it with T. Higgins. When you're the wide receiver 2 on your team, even if you're a very good player, you're going to have weeks where you're just not part of the gameplay. Because you have an alpha lined up across from you that sometimes they just get fed. They get force fed. And that's not going to change. Like A.J. Brown is the number 1 there. And so while Smith is really a great player and seemingly a significantly better teammate and person than A.J. Brown, there's probably going to be some of these weeks where Smith ends up with 2 catches for 40 yards and you're like, well, what the fuck? But it's because A.J. Brown got 15 targets. And they have Barkley now, too.
And Jahan Dotson.
They have Jahan Dotson, who could usurp the number 2 receiver role from Smith. Least favorite pick for me is Cook. I'm just not in on that. I'm not in on Cook, which I know is I know I'm in the minority on that.
I was gonna say mine is Zach Moss. I feel like I would have rathered Chase Brown over him.
Did he take him before Brown?
I believe so.
92nd. And no, Brown went a pick in front of Moss.
Oh,
So he did take Moss over Devin Singletary. I think that was a mistake.
yeah, it took Singletary.
Yeah.
But I don't hate his team. It's definitely just Andrew. I want to see him lose.
Yeah. Most people do.
But yeah.
How many do we have left here? We've got
I
me,
believe
you,
five.
Larar, Peter, and Lohan.
Yeah.
All right. Who's going next?
Do Pete.
All right. So Peter actually, the plan for him, I know, was to take St. Brown at 7, and I figured St. Brown was going to get taken before 7. And then Peter did tell me that he was going to take Jefferson over Chase. I know you're really in on Chase, so you probably didn't like that, I'm guessing.
I think Chase is going to be wide receiver 1 this year, personally.
Okay.
Um,
But what are your thoughts on Jefferson? Like we obviously we know Jefferson might be the best receiver in the NFL. If not the best, he's right there with the best. But now he has Sam Darnold. And so what are your thoughts on Jefferson this season?
I think he's going to be fed.
Yeah.
I think Kevin O'Connell is going to feed him the ball, and
Yeah.
like Darnold, he's got an arm on him.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been good in his career, but
No.
he's made fantasy relevant players. Um, I would have taken Chase over him. I think I would have taken AJ Brown or Garrett Wilson over him just because that situation in
Sure.
Minnesota. But I don't hate the pick.
I agree.
Say if Kirk Cousins was still there, he would have been like the 3rd overall pick
Yeah.
or whatever, or there would have been a case to take him number 1.
Yeah, he would have been right with like Hill and Lamb. I agree with everything you said. I had just assumed, I figured I was going to end up with Jefferson at 8. That I just thought that that's what it was going to be since McCarthy went down. I thought, okay, I'm going to end up with Jefferson at 8, and I was content with that just because he's unbelievable, and I kind of accepted that. I think there are going to be some down weeks. I think there will be a couple of maybe like 3 or so games where it's pretty ugly because Darnold's just terrible during that given week. But Jefferson made it work last year with Nick Mullins and Josh Dobbs. So I don't think there's any reason to believe that he can't make it work with Darnold. And you know what? Maybe we'll look back on it at the end of this season and say, why did we sleep on Jefferson and allow him to make it to 7? Now, one thing, and I texted Peter this. He's got 3 pretty fun receivers: Jefferson, Metcalf, and Cooper. I just don't like that they're all attached to questionable quarterback play.
Yeah.
Can Metcalf finally put it all together? The nice thing for him is that they have a legitimate offensive mind now running the show. as opposed to, Pete Carroll wanting to do things in like an old school grind it out type of way. Now they have someone who's going to install a new age offense, but it is still Geno Smith. And so you've got Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, and Deshaun Watson as the quarterbacks of your receivers. I don't know. I don't love it. I like all the players individually, but I don't like having to deal with that for all three of them.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Derrick Henry?
I think it's the beginning of the end for him. I don't know what the running back room is looking like in Baltimore anymore. But
well, they'll have, you just know they'll have some fucking random nobody who will be good. I lean that way as well.
Like, I know if he was there for my pick, I wasn't planning on taking him in either the second or the third.
Wow. I'm not that out on him because I think he's got a fair chance of like leading the league in rushing touchdowns.
100%. He's
he could score. He doesn't need to be that good, and he could score 15 touchdowns, and that alone would make him pretty quality for fantasy. I just think I'm with you that he's lost a step, and I think we're going to see a bunch of like 70 to 80 yards type of performances, volume based, just kind of decent floor. We'll see. Maybe we're both wrong. I would love for us to both be wrong and for him to have just an amazing season. But he's 30 and he has more mileage than just about anybody.
Yeah.
And I've watched a ton of Derrick Henry over the last couple of years. He just doesn't, he's not the same guy. He hasn't been. And part of it is that he was in a bad situation in Tennessee the last 2 years, but he also goes down easier than he used to. We'll see. That's going to be a really, that's a big X factor for Peter's team. Kincaid, I love. I will go right out and say I am all in on Kincaid. I think he's the tight end 1 this year.
Damn.
Yeah.
I could see it. Yeah, he's going to be the number 1 option on that team.
He should be. He should be. I think, yeah, I'm in on Kincaid tight end 1. I wanted him badly. If there's one thing that I wish went differently in the draft, it's that I would have gotten him in the 5th. If I could change one thing, it would be that. Very much all in on him. Running back 2, a little bit iffy for Peter, but it's like Jaylen Warren, like I was just saying with Spears for Andrew. I think it works out. Like I think it's fine. The move to half PPR hurts Jaylen Warren. Like, look at the score. Jaylen Warren wasn't really, he scored single digits all but like 5 times last year for half PPR. And I don't know that Peter has anybody on the bench that's going to be able to get the job done either. Do you think Ezekiel Elliott has any chance this year?
No.
I don't either.
I think him and Dowdle, and I don't know if Deuce Vaughn is still
I don't either.
in the mix there in Dallas, but I don't hate the Zeke pick. They brought him back because they had nobody.
Well, the thing you'd be hoping for with Elliott is that he scores 10 times and you have him as your running back too, and he gives you 10 points because he ends up with 40 yards and a touchdown. Like that's kind of to me what you'd be hoping for.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, I mean, you didn't like the Allen pick, so did you not like the Hurts pick?
Um,
They took him 2 picks after.
Hurts at least has weapons
Okay,
that are like known.
fair.
So,
So you would have
I
taken Hurts over Allen.
I would have taken Hurts over Allen.
All right.
I would have took. I want to say I would have took Mahomes over both though.
Oh, wow. See,
But
that's that's interesting. So you think Mahomes is going to have a 40 touchdown season then, basically?
I think so with now actual weapons at wide receiver.
He could.
He definitely could. I think
It's just,
Burrow. I think the Bengals are going to be filthy this year, personally. When we get to your team, we can talk about, but
yeah,
um,
we'll see.
I like
I,
Burrow.
I like the Hurts pick. I like Peter's team. I just like I said, I'm concerned about a few things. I'm concerned about the attachment to questionable quarterbacks, and I'm concerned about Henry potentially um, being more of a running back 2 than a running back 1.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any chance Henry's going to suck, but I just think he might not live up to where he was selected. But I do think this is a good team. My favorite pick by far is Kincaid. Kincaid might be my favorite pick of the entire draft. He's up there. I think it's a little weird where Kincaid was ranked. I don't see how he doesn't um unless Keon Coleman is very good. I don't see how Kincaid doesn't lead them in receiving.
yeah, I
And
agree with that.
my least favorite pick, I guess Henry. Kind of pains me to say that, but I guess it probably is Henry. I
Yeah,
would have taken Achan. I certainly would have taken Achan over Henry.
I agree.
All right, we got 4 left.
You could pick who we go to.
Well, we could just do us last. So what? It's Lohan and Larar.
Yeah,
Let's go with Lohan. Lohan took ETN, who I kind of ended up wanting. I would have taken him. Uh, ETN, you just know is going to be their workhorse.
yeah,
Tank Bigsby sucks. Remember when that was a thing this time last year?
yeah.
I had bought into it. I thought Bigsby was going to be a thing. He looked good in the preseason last year. Turns out he means nothing.
Not nothing,
No.
but yeah, no, I like ETN, AJ Brown. He's
Yeah.
AJ Brown.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's nice to get him at 10. That's where he should go.
I don't like the Drake London pick.
Yeah, so what jumps off to me right away is London and Pitts. That can't work out well. I just can't see that turning out well.
Yeah,
I agree. I don't really get the London infatuation.
like
Um,
it's kind of like Olave last year. Like,
yeah,
just should break out. Should be the year that he takes his game to the next level. But going with both of them, that's I want to say that will hinder his team from.
it was it was good that he was able to get London at 34 as opposed to like his ranking was more like what 24, I think.
Even in the teens, like 19. I think
Really?
I think he was originally like maybe like 21st or whatever.
Yeah, I don't I'm not saying I think Drake London is is a good player, but he hasn't shown much, which is because he's been in a bad situation. But like Kirk Cousins, we don't really know what he's going to be coming off of that injury.
Yeah.
And you also don't know who Kirk, like it's a new quarterback, so you don't know who his favorite target's going to be. It'll probably be one of those two. But what if it really is only one of those two? And the other one is just kind of meh. Brandon Ayuk,
I would say that's my least favorite pick by him.
yeah, which sucks because I really like Ayuk, but man, this is a fucking mess what's going on. And like
Like
for
the team is saying former teammate. Oh,
so let's say he gets traded to Pittsburgh. That's not good. That's not good for him for fantasy, I don't think.
no, no, he won't do what he did in San Francisco last year.
No. He'll get more targets, but way worse offense, like way worse designed offense.
And that's the only team he wants to go to. So
Or like them or Washington. What are we doing? Like what is this?
and like
And
New England offered uh for the Browns. The Browns
the
offered Amari
Browns.
Cooper and like a fifth round pick for him.
Yeah, he didn't want to go
And
there.
he didn't want to go to Cleveland.
Yeah. He's so let's say it works out and he ends up sticking with San Francisco. He missed all of this time. So look at what happened. What was it, 2 years ago or 3 years ago when he was like irrelevant for the first 2 months of the season?
2 years ago.
I could see that sadly happening again this year, where it
Yeah.
takes some time. Like you know that Shanahan is pissed about this. Shanahan's a prick. He'll hold a grudge against him.
Yeah. And like they drafted a guy in the
They
first
they
round.
drafted Ricky Pearsall.
He's hurt, but
He got hurt.
I know he hasn't been practicing at all throughout camp
Okay.
and preseason.
Yeah, so
But
that's he probably won't be relevant for a little bit, but still, like it's just you're drafting Ayuk. There's so much negative energy around this right now, and
it was a risk to take him where he did because there's still a chance he gets traded.
uh you just if you're Lohan, you need some resolution on this because right now it's pretty fucked.
Yeah.
Um, Aaron Jones, I'm not in on that. I don't think.
Neither am I. Pollard, same thing.
I'm fine with Pollard. I I think he'll be a running back too. Jaden, I actually do like these bench receivers he ended up with, Jaden Reed and Addison. The only thing with Addison is he's got to deal with Darnold, and he could he could be the one who ends up really getting hurt by that. Like
Yeah.
Jefferson is good enough to survive it. I don't know if Addison is. And Addison was not good last year after Cousins went down.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was actually horrible for fantasy. Um, 2 games over 9 points after week 8. Might be more of that. Yeah, I've changed my own mind. I'm out on Addison, despite the
See?
fact that I think he's good.
Yeah.
What about Pitts? Does Pitts put it together this year?
If he doesn't, it's horrible. I don't know if Kirk Cousins, like if Kirk Cousins, he'll be able to get him the ball. and stuff, but to have both him and London, that's
Yeah,
not ideal. But it's going to be a whole new offense, apparently. So,
in Atlanta.
and that's part of the reason why I took Bijan.
Yeah,
You know,
I getting Dak at 111 overall was nice.
yeah, no, it's a good pick. If CD plays, which I'm assuming he is.
Hmm. They should throw the ball a ridiculous amount.
Yeah,
Dak will be what he normally is. I don't like last year. What he did was ridiculous, where he just was like the
yeah,
quarterback one seemingly for 2 months in a row.
yeah. You were shitting on him. I remember.
Well, he was horrendous early on, and then yeah, I thought it was awful that I hated you had him and you like didn't have a tight end basically. I seem to think.
I was repping Tyler Higbee,
Yes. Yeah, I
and
hated that.
like a Kittle in like week 4.
And yeah, Prescott ends up completely proving me wrong and was just unreal. I don't think we see a repeat of that, but volume's going to be there. Like I'm in on Dak this year. I really am because they don't really have a running back right now. So he's going to throw it 40 times a game.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't love this team. I don't like that two Atlanta thing. Ayuk, very risky. Aaron Jones, eh. My least favorite pick is when did he take Jones? 58th
uh,
overall. It's Jones.
yeah,
I don't
but
like that. I don't like that at all.
um,
He took Aaron Jones in front of Tank Dell, in front of David Montgomery, Rashi Rice.
yeah, but he needed a running back there
Well, but you did see to me you didn't
for
because
for him. He did.
I just disagree. Like you could have waited a couple of rounds and gotten those Jerome Ford.
Chase Brown.
Yeah, you like that Devin Singletary, those types. I would have been create an insane wide receiver room where you're going 4 deep. Make Tank Dell your wide receiver 4, and Tank Dell you'd probably start him week 1 with all this Ayuk uncertainty. Could have taken. Were there any quarterbacks available? Kyler Murray was available. Joe Burrow was available. You could have gone that route. I would have done that absolutely before Aaron Jones. David Montgomery, I would have taken before Aaron Jones. I think I would have taken Swift and Raheem Mostert. I certainly would have taken them before Aaron Jones. So that pick I really do not like. I do like the selection of Prescott, however, and ETN. I
Yeah.
really like the ETN pick.
You
What about
know,
you?
well, your team is right next to his team, but I'm looking right here, and he took Caleb Williams as well,
Mm-hmm.
which I took my quarterback with my last pick, but he took Williams over Chuba Hubbard, and you have Chuba Hubbard,
Mm, yeah,
and
he could have really used someone like Hubbard.
like Hubbard is going to be better than Aaron Jones for the first 5 weeks,
Probably.
so
Yeah, there are many teams that could have used Hubbard. More on that later.
yeah.
Let's do Larar. Larar's
That,
team is old. That jumps off right. Larar's team is fucking old. It feels similar to Mecca's team from last year.
yeah.
Rodgers, McCaffrey, Mixon, Diggs, Kelsey, Keenan Allen.
It's all
That's insane.
It's
So let me start off by saying I don't dislike Larar's team, but it is not a good idea normally to have that many old players.
no. Yeah, I think who's the youngest guy? T. Higgins?
T. Higgins, who's what is he,
Or
26?
Watson would be.
Yeah, but of his starting lineup.
With the starting lineup, it's T. Higgins. So
Everyone else is like pushing 30.
yeah,
Some are over 30.
um,
McCaffrey, we know that McCaffrey, when he's on the field, represents a ridiculous advantage.
yeah,
He almost assures that your team can't be bad. Um, I don't think I've seen a team with McCaffrey the last 2 years be bad. Like you're essentially you're kind of guaranteed to at least be respectable.
man. I'm afraid this is his his last year, personally.
It could be. It could be. And you do wonder if at some point, like, are they going to tone down the usage a little bit?
Yeah. I
I mean, they should. They have other guys. Like, you could give Debo 5 carries a game. You could give Jordan Mason 5 carries a game. Like, you don't need to be giving McCaffrey the ball 25 times.
yeah.
I think it's just so. It's probably so hard to take the guy off the field, which you can't really blame them.
Yeah. But like we talked about earlier, we think Diggs is going to be the third
Yeah.
choice in that wide receiver room.
Yeah.
Keenan, I could see Keenan being the third choice in that wide
I
receiver room.
I agree.
And also,
Maybe not initially, but I think there will be a point in the season where Dunze overtakes Allen.
yeah. And then even with T. Higgins, who knows?
Yeah, who does know?
He
That
was ass. He was ass last year.
it was unbelievable. I like
I think Pete had him, and
he did.
he he put up like back-to-back 0 point games.
Well, it's so weird. Like T. Higgins has a few times in his career now had games where he's been active and like not played.
Yeah,
So that's just a thing that's a thing that they do there, I guess. And who are you fooling? Like, it's going to change the other team's thoughts so much. Maybe if you were putting him on the field as a decoy, you're not even doing that. You have him rotting on the bench. Why waste a roster spot on game day? But anyway, yeah, Higgins to me is one of the real question marks because you get him at 50 overall. He could end up being a really good value if he's the T. Higgins we've seen at times in the past.
2 years ago. Yeah,
And 3 years ago, late 2021, he basically won Sam the league. He was fucking unbelievable.
huh?
He had like a 50-point week, I think, in the semifinal round. I remember because it was against me. So, yeah, who knows? Higgins could really work out.
Yeah.
Kelsey, I didn't like that. I didn't like that at
I know.
25 overall.
Neither did I. I thought he was going to retire after they won the Super Bowl,
Wouldn't have
personally.
surprised me.
And I think this is could be his last year. Like it
Yeah.
just looked like he was slowing down.
Well, it feels very much like he kind of paced himself. They left everything in the tank for the playoffs because he was pretty damn good in the playoffs. And you might just see a repeat of that, especially now that they have more pass catching options. They might just take it easy on him throughout the year and he'll have his moments, he'll have some big games, but I think the days of him being fantasy superstar, I think those are gone. And I feel like I would have taken him fifth at the position. I certainly would have taken him behind McBride, uh, Kincaid, and Laporta. And he went like 25 picks before some of those guys. So, yeah, I don't like that.
I like the Najee pick. This is a
Yeah,
pretty good firm.
and you know that he's going to be just like solid running back too. He always has been. And it should be more of a run first team with old school Arthur Smith running the show there now.
Yeah.
And Jalen Warren is banged up. They do have Cordero Patterson now.
I do got the Joker.
Yeah, they do. But yeah, I think Najee's a good now that he's going 73rd overall, he's actually become like a nice value, I think. And
Yeah.
Christian Watson, I think, is a great bet to take on just a talented piece.
Yeah, but like that I don't know who's gonna be the guy there.
Nobody does. It could be any of them. So it could absolutely be Watson, and you got him um, almost at pick 100. J.K. Dobbins, he could be the starter for the Chargers.
Yeah,
So Larar,
100%.
I really like his bench,
I love
and
his kicker.
Brandon Aubrey,
He just hit like a 70-yard field goal.
he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He was amazing for me. I had him. It was amazing last year.
Nah, I'm
Maybe
not.
maybe the best kicker in the league in a good offense. You can't really ask for more.
I'm not a fan of the Dallas Goedert or the Deshaun Watson picks,
No,
but I don't know who else would have been there at that time. But
yeah, you gotta hate Larar's quarterback situation.
because I think he took Aaron Rodgers in like the 10th round or something.
He took him before Dak, which
Yeah,
is to
and
me,
Jordan Love.
yeah, to me that's pretty brutal.
Yeah,
Um,
96 overall, which Aaron Rodgers could have come out slinging.
I don't know how you take him over Dak specifically. 41 years old, coming off that injury.
Yeah,
Mixon, I think Mixon will just be like kind of volume based, solid scoring opportunities.
yeah. I know they got
I,
Cam Akers over there too.
he's had a nice preseason, yeah. Damian Pierce sucks.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, he was a promising piece 2 years ago, and now
He's nobody.
he is a nobody now. Yeah, like Larar's team. I think my overall takeaway is just that I don't really see there being upside because there's so much. There, the team is so old.
Yeah.
But McCaffrey will keep it. The team will be good because of McCaffrey, and maybe some of those flyers off the bench work out.
I can see Jacoby Myers being like, especially if Devontae
Yeah, I mean,
wants
Jacoby
to get
Myers
out.
is a decent player.
I know last year he had big weeks.
He did have some big moments. I think Larar had him, I believe.
Yeah.
I think Larar's team will be solid, but I just wish he had injected a little bit more youth. Um, my least favorite pick, and this it pains me to say this because the guy's been one of the great fantasy players of the last decade, but my least favorite pick is definitely Kelsey.
Yeah.
I just think it was bad value.
I
Favorite
agree.
pick is hmm, kind of torn on a few different ones.
I like Najee. Or
That's not going
Cam.
to be my favorite, but I also do like that. Maybe it's McCaffrey, just the fact that he didn't get cute with it. He just took the best guy.
Yeah.
Because you could have easily talked yourself into a few other guys. You could have talked yourself into Lamb or Hill. I wouldn't have blamed him at all for taking Hill.
No, I thought I was afraid he was gonna not take McCaffrey, and then I would have been forced to take him.
That would have been awesome for you. But
I don't want him this year. I don't. He's not. I just don't think it's.
you think he's nearing the end. Well, fair enough. He's getting old for the position.
But
All
hopefully he
right,
stays healthy and he's filthy.
it's only us remaining, and so we'll go to me. Um, I was surprised Chase made it to 8. I wasn't like jumping for joy when it happened because I didn't want to deal with any of these holdout type guys. Um, I just didn't want to deal with it. But you had to take Chase there, I think. Ultimately happy with it. I just hope that nonsense gets resolved. He did practice today. It's a little absurd that he's holding out with like 2 years left on his rookie deal. Like, what are you doing? But
Yeah.
whatever. He should be really good if it all works out for him and Burrow. And then Pacheco, kind of a safe pick, I think.
I agree, but I like it. He has no competition there.
He has no competition. It's maybe the best offense. I just don't know how good he is. Like, I think he's quality, but I don't. By no means is he elite, and so there's like a certain ceiling on him. I think just for that reason. But volume in a great offense has made good players be elite for fantasy in the past. So I guess that's kind of my hope. I was happy to get Nico Collins. I just like having a piece of that offense. I think he's a really special player, Collins. Um, but there's big target competition.
Yeah.
Debo is a guy I just straight up wanted. I wanted Debo. I think he's an amazing flex to have.
Yeah, you told me that. Um, I was gonna take him with my early third round pick,
Yeah,
but I didn't want to reach on him that far. And
sure.
then when I saw DK still up there, um,
You thought, yeah.
I thought there was a chance I was gonna get him. But
Yeah, what can you do? I like how this went for me. I would truly be ecstatic if I had ended up with Kincaid. And I knew it was going to play out the way it did because I knew that Andrew, Matt, and Peter all wanted one of those tight ends in that range. And I knew I predicted to myself in the late 4th round that they were going to go 1, 2, 3 right in front of me. And it sucked that happened because if I had gotten one of those 3 tight ends, I would have left this thing being ecstatic. Um, as is, still pretty happy. Instead, I get James Conner, who I think could be really, really good until he inevitably gets injured.
yeah,
And then I still ended up with, for at least relative to the rest of the league, waiting on quarterback and tight end, you still end up getting Burrow and Kittle. That's not bad. I mean,
no,
I do.
I'm gonna say your team is my favorite out of
It's a
everyone's
good
team.
team. It's a good team. It should be good. Um, I really liked the draft pick. Every time I was doing like those practice drafts, I'd say I did about 10 of them. My team was ending up really good every single time. I just think it was a good draft pick for the way the ESPN rankings are this year.
Yeah.
And some things happened that I didn't expect. Burrow is certainly not a guy I planned on taking. I wanted a rushing quarterback. I did not want a pocket passer, but I essentially, once Murray was gone, the decision was obvious to go with that Burrow Chase stack. Kind of relying on Burrow to stay healthy now, but if he does, that'll be fun to own. How about this? One thing Burrow, I got him at 80th overall. Burrow went 30th last year. He dropped 50 spots.
That's wild stat.
He dropped 50 spots. It's insane. Yeah, Kittle, we know what Kittle is. I've talked about it ad nauseum. Peaks and valleys. He's going to give you week winning performances, and he's going to give you weeks where you're just disgusted that he wasn't involved that week because he was used as essentially an offensive lineman. Don't love that I have the two 49ers pieces, but at least you know that one of them should be good in a given week.
Yeah.
I was actually really happy to, I don't really care about defense or kicker that much. I was really happy to end up with Dallas. They were amazing for fantasy last year.
They were.
And I really do like the bench pieces I got. Jerome Ford and Hubbard. To me, Chuba Hubbard was one of the most misranked players in the entire thing. He was like 178th. He's a starting running back for at least a month. And he was good last year. Chuba Hubbard last year, weeks 12 onward, scored in double digits all but once. So I like Hubbard. I like Ford. Cortland Sutton, I think, is a good wide receiver for. And then I like the upside shots on Jaden Daniels. That gives me that rushing quarterback and Brock Bowers. My favorite pick was Debo.
I was gonna say him or Jamar. Getting Jamar at 8, I think, is
It is nice.
a steal.
My least favorite pick is probably Kittle. But it's kind of hard to hate that at 65. It could end up being the fact that I wasn't willing to take Achane. That could be the one that really haunts me. Especially because it would directly help Sam. If Achane ends up being like a top 3 running back, I will be pretty sick with myself. Because my gut was Achane. And I just didn't have it in me to do it. I went with the safe option. What's your least favorite of what I have?
What pick did you take? Nico Collins, your 3rd round?
Yeah, you are a little down on him. Yeah.
But like it's not a bad pick. That's where he goes.
Yeah.
And then like he was great last year, and
He's good.
The Texans are going to be good. And
Yeah, they should be. They should.
So.
That's my favorite thing about my team is I'm attached to the best offenses in the NFL.
Yeah.
Chiefs, Bengals, 49ers, Texans.
You got three great teams.
Yeah.
But yeah,
We'll
I'd say,
move. Mhm.
yeah.
All right, we got you remaining. Um, it's a little wild to me the running back going as heavy as you did. Like, what was
Yeah.
it? 4 of your first 5?
I was gonna go 5 for 5,
Why?
but I didn't want Aaron Jones.
But why would you do? Why was that like your strategy?
So I didn't know who I wanted for the first round pick. That's why I was open to trading it away. I also didn't want anyone in the second or third round pick. So I was looking to get rid of those as well for another first round pick.
No one's, you
And
know, that nobody's going to make these like insanely radical trades.
yeah, so I went with Bijan. I did a few of like the practice drafts, and I was usually taking Brees Hall, and last second I was just like, I'm just gonna go with Bijan. He's projected 5 more points. And he's just, I think he's gonna be good. I hope. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't dislike
Uh,
it. I would have taken Hill or Lamb.
Hill or Lamb, they're the safer picks
Yeah,
with Chase, and but I could see Bijan being filthy. So
I
I was willing
I
to take
I
the
could see
risk.
that too.
And then my plan was to take Achan or
Yeah.
James Cook, and they were both
Okay.
gone. So I was like, because I initially was going to take Debo with that third round pick,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to take him that early. So I said, fuck it, I'm just going to take Josh Jacobs, make people hopefully take more running backs, and then I could get Debo in the fourth round.
Hmm.
That did not happen. So then I said, just to cause more of a ruckus, I'm just going to take Ramondre Stevenson so no one else could get another running back.
So it was
And
your first 4 picks.
first 4,
Wow.
and then yeah, and then I was like, I need to take a receiver, and I took George Pickens over Tank Dell and Calvin Ridley. But
Which I don't hate.
I was originally just gonna go wide receiver. Like if you didn't take Debo, I was gonna take Debo and Kittle in at the
Okay.
4 or 5 turn. And then I think I took Javonte Williams and Terry McLaurin
Hmm.
in 6 and 7, which I'm deep at running back. I'm usually deep at wide receiver, I feel like.
Well, you had that one year where your running back depth was insane. It
Yeah.
was 2 or 3 years ago. You had like
I had Saquon.
it was when you picked up Mike Davis.
I did also have Mike Davis.
You had like 5 top 20 guys.
Uh,
And I you might have also had Cup that year.
I could have had Cup. The Cup year was his
That
best
was 20.
year, and
That was
I started
22.
I started Kelsey and Waller.
Waller.
I
And
went
that
double
Waller
second.
pick is really what fucked your team.
Yeah, yeah. Because you offered me a crazy trade for him, and I turned it offered me Chase and Debo, I think.
No, you wanted
Chase and Debo. It
and
was
I think I was willing to do Chase.
you were also willing to just do Debo and then one of someone else.
Yeah, I
But
wouldn't I wouldn't have given up both of them.
week 1, Waller had like 25 targets.
Yeah, yeah,
So I said
yeah.
I can't trade him. But yeah, he eventually fucked the team. But
He did. He did.
I went with 2 wide receiver ones on whatever offenses.
Yeah,
And
I
then
actually kind of like it. I kind of like it for not taking a receiver until the 5th round. I don't dislike the group you ended up with Pickens, McLaurin, Worthy, Brian Thomas, Palmer. I think it's a kind of fun group actually. It would have been nice to have someone that you could really count on.
Yeah, I don't trust any of them, but it's worth the gamble. I think Brian Thomas Jr. will become the alpha in Jackson.
He looks really good right now.
Maybe even worthy. Who knows? They took him
I
first
it
round pick.
it wouldn't shock me.
And I never take rookie wide receivers. Like over,
It's fun.
I think
It's
since
fun to
being
have
in
them.
the league, this is my first time like just being like
Yeah.
Flyers. But I would say I think I have the worst team on paper at the moment.
I don't think I agree with that. I don't really know who I think does, but if there's one thing I know, most years I look at the team you draft and I say to myself, like, I don't really like it. And then it just works out because you'll one of these guys on your bench is going to hit.
Yeah. And also,
Historically,
two of these guys are going to be traded. I already know that.
that as well.
If you want to do a trade right now on the podcast, I am down.
That would be
Bijan
electric, but
Robinson, Bijan Robinson's available.
for Jamar Chase,
No, no. You want to hear an offer?
you could get your Jamar Chase after all.
No, no, I don't want Jamar Chase.
You don't want the guy who you think is going to be the wide receiver one overall.
I'll give you Bijan for I'll give you Bijan and Pat Fryermuth for
Why would I want him?
I don't know.
Be my tight end 3.
I'm interested in Kittle, Debo, and Pacheco on your team. Just keep that in the back of your mind.
Of course. Yeah, I will be willing to trade Kittle and Pacheco most likely at some point this year. But yeah, you have all this running back depth. You're going to be able to probably pull off a trade. And there are some very running back needy teams. So I think you'll be able to trade one of them. And I would imagine you're more likely to trade White or Jacobs than Stevenson.
Yeah.
And I think you'll just figure it out because most years you do. Now, I don't like that you have 2 Steelers pass catchers in your starting lineup. That's not great.
Neither do I.
I don't love that your quarterback tight end combination is Purdy Fryermuth.
But my plan is to just stream the position. I was debating on going Tua or Jared Goff or
Goff going undrafted is kind
or
of insane.
Tua's I think did he lead the league in
I
passing?
believe he led the league in passing. Yes.
Yeah, and he's not even a starter. So like
yeah, it's like even Justin Herbert, he was disappointing last year, but kind of wild that he went undrafted.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
you'll be able to figure that position out.
yeah, especially how we got rid of a bench spot. Like I was
Yeah,
like, I could take a quarterback with the last pick, and I should be fine.
yeah.
My plan was to take Daniels or Williams,
hmm
but you and Lohan both snag.
Yeah, it would have been nice. Like if you had Daniels and then one of those kind of safe uh Goff, Tua, Purdy pocket passers combined with Daniels. That would kind of be like a dream almost.
But yeah, I would say all the running backs, that was a gamble, and everybody in the league, they're available. Hit my line.
Yeah. Oh, I texted Pete. Peter texted me mid draft. He's like, Krieger went 3 straight running backs. And I said I can already read the message of if you need running back, hit me up. And here we are. You're already doing that. And I'd imagine a trade will be made at some point.
People need to come to me. I'm not going to be going fishing.
Wow. Wow.
It's going to
All
be a
right.
different year.
My favorite pick of yours, I'm gonna go with it's kind of a toss up between Worthy and Thomas because I think one of them works out.
I was gonna
So
say him, Thomas, or Josh Palmer, because Josh Palmer could be Herbert's go-to target.
yeah, we'll see. I
So,
told you this before that I just Palmer has had chances before and he hasn't really done that much with them, so I'm not in on that. But I think I'm gonna say that one of Worthy or Thomas will be a top 25 receiver.
yeah,
And then my least favorite, it's kind of tough. It
I would say Rashad White or Josh Jacobs.
I think it's White. I don't know if he can replicate what he did, but he
Yeah,
doesn't really have competition. So
yeah. I don't know. I know in their last preseason game or whatever. Yeah, like one catch for like 20 yards and a rushing touchdown on the first drive, and that's
yeah,
what kind of sold me on him to be like, it's cool to just have him again.
and he really doesn't have competition. They
But
drafted a guy in the fourth round, Bucky Irving. They have Sean Tucker, but
yeah,
it's like a similar situation to Isaiah Pacheco, where I don't think White is like a super skilled player, but he's by himself,
my
and
favorite pick
they
is
throw the ball to him.
he does get targets, so that half point will be cool.
It's
But
just added yardage too.
and that was kind of also the reason why I also took Javonte Williams, because
Yeah,
there's a
he could be the
chance
guy there.
he could be the guy. And I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we took him in the second round or third round. I think Andrew took him, and he tore his Achilles or ACL in the second game.
Yeah, he was looking really good. Andrew had him and Brees Hall.
And they both tore their ACLs
Yeah,
in the
but
same week. I'm pretty
I
sure.
think, or I think it might have been like 1 or 2 weeks separating it. But yes, it was. They were both gone by like week 5.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Williams. I so to me, it's I think McLaughlin will have a role, and I don't think that offense will be good. So that's why I'm not really in on Williams. But yeah, if he gets back to the way he looked pre-injury, that was a steal.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure he's only like 23 years old.
Yeah, he's really young.
So I don't know. I went with the young team and the quarterback, tight end. It's always
Yeah,
weak. I've never the 1 year I took Herbert or whatever.
and the year that you took Kelsey Waller.
But but I didn't. I'm just saying, like quarter. That was the only year I ever took a quarterback, and Herbert was very whatever.
Yeah,
I think it was two
yeah,
years ago. So
yeah. And when you had probably your best team that you've had in this league, that 2021 team, you had Stafford. You
yeah, it
had
was
the Stafford Cup
Stafford
stack.
Cup, Kelsey, Waller, and then I don't even know who else was on the team.
You had at least one very good running back.
Yeah, maybe
All right.
Saquon.
Well, let's quickly go through these rounds, and we'll do the first. I don't know. We'll do it until we don't want to do it anymore. Favorite, least favorite pick each round. So for me, my favorite pick of the first round is I think it's Amon Ra by Matt. I like that he took him over. I like that he took him over Jefferson and Chase.
I like Chase. But you got Chase. I would say that's my favorite pick.
My
Uh,
least is Saquon.
I was gonna say Kyron.
Okay. Second round, I'm gonna go with Achan as my favorite.
I was gonna go Garrett Wilson.
Okay. Yeah, you're definitely in on him this year.
Yeah,
And I will say that my least favorite is Mixon.
I agree.
Third round. Really liking the the Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts picks. I know you disagree, but I liked those guys in this area because I'm not super inspired by many of the guys in this round. And so I think it was a good spot to go after a quarterback. Least favorite, I don't know. Probably Pittman.
I would say my favorite's Cup
Cup, okay.
by Mecca, and least favorite is either Pittman or Kelsey.
I forgot about Kelsey. I realized that it's got to be him.
Yeah.
Just be just because of how late these other tight ends went. Like no other tight end went for another 21 picks. There shouldn't be that much of a gap. Obviously, Larar didn't know that would be the case, but in hindsight, fourth round, fourth round. Some really good picks in this round to me. Uh, I like almost all of them, but the one I like the most is I think Deebo Samuel.
No, I was gonna say your pick, Debo or Waddle.
Okay. Least favorite is this is tough because like I said, I really do like most of these picks. It's
Oh, Ayuk.
I think it's Ayuk. Yeah. Yeah. He shouldn't I just don't think he should have gone over more Samuel Metcalf. I don't think he should have gone over Sam Laporta.
Yeah.
Fifth round favorite pick easily Kincaid. That really truly might be my favorite pick of the draft. And then least is it's either Zamir White or Aaron Jones.
I would say Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
Or maybe Zamir White. One of those two,
Sam's
but
not going to let us he's not going to let us live it down if Zamir White ends up being good.
we'll definitely have good weeks. But
He's going to need touchdowns, I think. Cuz he's not a pass catching guy. And they still have fucking Amir Abdullah.
I'm locking in least favorite pick, Zamir White.
Okay. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Round 6. Hmm. It's
I
kind of a
would
weird round.
definitely a weird round. I like the Brian Robinson Jr. pick by
Yeah.
Cleveland.
I like a bunch of these picks. I don't really like love any of them. It's I can't really pick a favorite because I feel very similarly about many of them.
Yeah.
I think the guy with the most upside is um probably Rice,
Yeah.
just because of being attached to Mahomes. But then again, there's that what I was talking about before, where last year he had nobody around him and he didn't really have much ceiling. He was just solid. So who knows?
I would
I
say
also
least
don't
favorite.
Pitts.
Pitts. Well, I was gonna say Swift.
I'm going
Or,
Pitts. I'm just done with that shit with Pitts.
yeah.
He's not a guy there's completely off my draft board. That's just and maybe I get proven wrong. I'm willing to be wrong on that. I'm completely willing to be wrong on that. He was never a guy I was going to draft this year.
Okay.
Would you have ever taken? I mean, obviously you like Kittle, you're a 49ers fan. Can you come up with a reason to pick him over Kittle?
No,
I really can't. Worse offense. Um,
has never really. Boy, he had 1,000 yards his rookie year.
yeah, with like one touchdown.
So yeah, like it's
What you're hoping is that he's completely been ruined by bum quarterback play and bad a bad system for his skill set. That's your hope.
yeah.
And we'll learn very quickly if he's been completely wasted or if he's just not that great.
Yeah, so
Round
around
7, I'm liking Kyler Murray here. I'm liking him at 75 overall.
I like.
Least
Yeah, I agree.
least favorite is Gus Edwards or Eckler.
I was gonna say Edwards or Eckler. Um,
Eighth
okay,
round.
I would say Edwards.
Okay. Eighth round, I'm liking Xavier Worthy.
Lit.
I'm going with Xavier Worthy there. And I will also, of course, add that many of the running backs that went in this round, I think are very solid. But I think
I like Chase Brown.
okay.
I was gonna take Chase Brown in this round. If
And it is funny. You look at it. You had the two Cleveland guys go 88, 89, and the two Cincinnati guys go 91, 92. Very interesting.
uh,
That was pointed out earlier tonight by Sam. He noticed that.
I would say least
Um,
favorite pick is Aaron Rodgers
yeah,
or DeAndre Hopkins.
yeah, DeAndre. I wouldn't want anything to. It looks pretty bad when you take him over some of the upside guys who went. Like, look at all the upside that went right after that: Worthy, Watson, Thomas, Smith and Jigba, Marquise Brown, Adunze. So many fucking upside options, and Hopkins, you just know is going to be at best fine. And then
Yeah.
this was that crazy all wide receiver round in round 9.
Did it end up going all wide receiver?
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah, it was just a pretty wild receiver run in general. It ended up being 14 out of 16 picks. My favorite of them that was taken here is probably Brian Thomas. I think he's got the easiest path to being his team's number one.
I agree. Well, like Cortland Sutton is number one. I was gonna take him over Brian Thomas.
But
I
you
just
want for the upside.
upside. Also, I think I had like three guys already on by week 14, and I couldn't.
Okay.
Didn't want. I know Terry McLaurin was by week 14, and I didn't want to have another wide receiver out the same week.
Least favorite, I think, is for me. I think it's Jerry Judy.
I was gonna say him or Addison.
Yeah, Addison is probably going to be bad, and
Actually,
Jamison
Looney.
Williams may also be awful.
He could be awful, but I don't know. He could. I had him last year. I was holding on to him to do something, and he never did.
Well, the guy is a fucking speed freak. Like, he should be good in that offense, but he just hasn't been.
Yeah. It's round 10.
Yeah, I really like the Jalen Wright shot, and I also really like Jaden Daniels simply because of the rushing ability. Like, he could be bad. He doesn't have to be good. You know he's going to run, and that gives him a baseline, and he's got upside to be pretty damn good. for fantasy.
Yeah. I like the Jaden Daniels pick.
It's so hard to hate any picks when you get to this point in the draft because it's so what if it doesn't work out. But um, I think probably Charbonnet.
That's what I was gonna say.
Some of these running backs that went right after him, I absolutely would have taken over Charbonnet.
But yeah, I would have took Dobbins easily over him.
Yeah, I agree.
Same with like Tyler Algier, Rico Dowdle.
And I would have taken Benson and Jalen Wright just as like ultimately.
I don't know about Jalen Wright just because he's technically number 8 on their depth chart, but
He's buried, but
it's one injury away from relevance.
yes. Yeah, one injury, he should at least have a role. And Charbonnet, even so, the reason that I'm out on Charbonnet, I had him last year. He wasn't even that good when Ken Walker went down. Like he had, it looks like he had 3 weeks where he got to start, maybe 4. He scored in double digits once all season. He wasn't good even when he got the opportunity. So that's why I'm out on him. I really like Khalil Shakir in the 11th and the chance on Dowdle.
I would say Shakir or McLaughlin.
Okay, yeah, I like McLaughlin too. And I don't know that there's a truly bad pick in this round.
I guess Dallas Goedert because Larar has Kelsey. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he didn't need him at all. He could have taken a chance on a different position.
no,
12th round, truly Chuba Hubbard to me was one of the better picks of the draft.
yeah, easy.
And I thought that somebody, I mean, he was ranked like 180th, but I figured that somebody would take him. And then nobody was. I wonder where he would have gone if I didn't take him.
I was gonna take him with that 12th with my
Okay.
last bench spot.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, it's kind of a boring pick, and that's why it's why he's ranked where he was, but he's
He'll
a
be back.
starting running back for 2 months basically.
Yeah.
And
I also like the Demario Douglas
yeah,
pick
Pop
just because
Douglas.
he's the number 1 option on that team, I'm pretty sure.
Well, it's interesting because they have Jalen Polk and they have
Javon Baker or whatever.
well they have that KJ Osborne they have.
Oh yeah, Osborne too, yeah.
I think it'll be Douglas or Polk.
But it's gonna be such a bad offense.
It'll probably struggle
Um,
early on at least. May I think May will be good, but yeah, it's never easy with a rookie quarterback.
yeah.
Alexander Madison I don't think needed to be rostered in the league. Like we've seen what he is. Opportunity to start last year, he was horrible. And he's not going to start this year.
Yeah.
And then we just have a few more. At this point, this is where kickers started mixing in. Nothing really stands out to me.
Brandon Rubis kicker.
It's funny, Larar didn't mean to draft him.
Really?
He called me. And he's like, he wanted to draft the 49ers defense.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hmm.
We'll see if that looms large. Romeo Dobbs, nice pick in the 14th. We both like that.
yeah.
I didn't realize that you took Purdy in the last round.
Yeah, I was actually debating on going Watson, but then he took him,
You
and I
got taken.
said, "Well, take my guy Purdy." But I was debating on Tua or Jared Goff or Stafford or Herbert.
Yeah, and Watson, I'm guessing just because you never know, right?
He could run,
He
but
could get back to what he was.
Purdy scrambles once or twice a game, so there's something there.
Yeah, but no rushing touchdowns. That's you know he's not going to get any of that. He had 2 last year.
Yeah, but
He was pretty good for fantasy, Purdy. Like he was fine.
and then
All right, well, what other takeaways do you have?
coming for everyone's neck. I'm coming for
You're
the
trying
throne.
to
I'm coming for the
you
throne.
want to prove everyone wrong.
I don't
Your
know.
team will end up being good.
I hope.
I can't even do like predictions on where I think everyone will be because I really think it's very even. Like there weren't many teams I looked at and thought, wow, this is great. There weren't many that I looked at and thought, wow, this team blows. Um, I I think it's going to be tough for I think it's be tough for Lohan.
I agree.
That kind of stuck out to me as a bad team. And I think Horvath's going to have a nice year. I really like that team.
It's gonna be a good year.
ESPN predicting Larar over Horvath in the final.
Who's at the bottom? I think it's Mecca, then me.
I think something like that. ESPN has last year's bottom 4 finishing as the top 4. They've got Larar, Horvath, Colin, and Andrew as the top 4.
They were the bottom.
They were at I think they were 4 of the bottom 5 last year. It would be wild if that ended up being the top 4. Just completely upend the league. I expect you to have a trade made by the end of September.
If people contact me, I'll be down.
Yeah, they have to contact you. That's right. You will not be contacting anybody
I am interested in acquiring Debo, Kettle, and Pacheco from you. I'll give you Bijan and someone else,
for Pacheco.
and Kettle and Debo. Yeah,
Okay, so it would be those 3, and I would get Bijan and in theory a receiver.
yeah. If that interests you, just right now.
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really, because I don't want to have to start Brock Bowers until I see how they use him.
Well,
And I don't want my flex to be it would probably be George Pickens in this world.
yeah.
Nope, not going to be able to get it done. But I do think down the road there's a possibility we'll get something done. Especially if Bowers is good for fantasy, then Kittle will be. It'll be like what happened last year with Sam.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Mhm.
thank you for going through everything, and
No problem.
it's
This was
3 a.m.
yeah. It's been 3 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, this has been about 3 hours. So good luck to everybody listening to this. Sure as hell, nobody will listen to the whole thing. You'd have to be really,
Yes,
really sick.
sick
You,
fucks.
you got to be sick to do that.
I'm gonna
But
go
yeah,
to the casino right now. I'll be right back.
you're going to the casino,
No,
FanDuel Casino.
who knows?
Don't be doing that.
All right, well, thanks for having me.
Of course, of course.
Sweet dreams, and
Yeah,
best of luck to everyone in the season.
best of luck to everyone except you.
I saw the message. I'm coming for your neck.
we'll
Good night.
Yeah, good night. Goodbye.
Good night. End it there.
That's it. It's done. All right, well, the draft recap is done. Very methodically done, I might add. And this is season 15. Season 15 of this league. And looking forward to it. I was really not looking forward to fantasy football until probably about 2 weeks ago. Just couldn't get into it. And I didn't do nearly as much draft preparation as I've done in the past. There were years when it was insane how much time I put into it. This year, very, very little. And I think it actually probably benefited me because I didn't overanalyze every single little thing. It's probably the worst thing that I do. So, yeah, looking forward to it now. I'm happy with the way my team turned out. Probably will come in third place with it. That seems to be my fate. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Could be a fun year where some teams that haven't done so well recently end up having nice seasons. I would like for that to be the case. But I'm going to end it here, and this will be sent out to all of you relatively soon after it takes a few hours to render itself down. But until next time, goodbye.